Fam, this Mind the Mic podcast is proudly brought to you by Manscaped. Before we get into this episode, I want to give you the opportunity to check out manscaped.com and use our promo code Mind the Mic. That's one word, Mind the Mic, for 20% off plus free shipping across the entire website. That's it. Manscaped.com, code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website, where you can get cool things just like this. The Lawnmower 5.0. Look, it's even got a light, and you can trim up all them unnecessary hairs, get rid of them. It's actually made for the downstairs, but you can use it for both if you want. They also have beard trimmers, especially for the beard. But this one here is actually made for the downstairs. So get amongst it, get rid of all them loose hairs hanging around down there. And once you've done that, make sure you clean up that nose too. So we got the Weed Whacker 2.0 for the nose. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is for the nose and the ears. We all get annoyed by those hairs, don't we? And we got the crop soother. So once you finish that undercarriage, come get some of this crop soother in your life. What's crop soother? It's an aftershave for the down there. But I've done it. I've tried it. And it doesn't sting like your dad's aftershave. So you're good to go. And if you want to keep it smelling nice, we got the crop preserver. Deodorant for the balls. That's anti-chafing. Not to mention these are waterproof, fam. So if you're like, yeah, but I like those manual ones because I can use them in the shower. Well, never fear. Manscaped is here. Go hard in the shower. It's waterproof, fam. Good present for your dad, for your brother, your boyfriend, your husband. Well, brothers, treat yourself. Go get you some Manscaped in your life. Use promo code Mind the Mic for 20% off plus free shipping across everything on the website. Enjoy the episode. Make sure you subscribe and get some Manscaped in your life. Mind the Mic. Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Shubz, here with a special guest from all the way on the other side of the world, Stacy Paetz. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Nah, grateful to have you on. I guess for the people that don't know who you are, can you give us a little background on yourself and go wherever you want to with that
I will,
synopsis?
Of course. Currently, I'm with Major League Rugby. I'm studio host for the All Access show that's every Tuesday during the season on Fox Sports. And then I do some pitch side reporting as well for the big national games. I have been a sportscaster since I was 19 years old, and I knew at 15 years old this is what I wanted to do. As a three sport athlete who loves to tell stories and get to know people and make those connections, it just all fit. It fit very well. The funny part about me being on television is I wouldn't say I'm shy per se. I'm very outgoing, but I don't like attention. I don't want attention. That's not why I do this. I do it for the storytelling and the ability to tell other people's stories. So it's just really funny that God decided to say, I'm going to put you on TV. Run with it. Good luck.
Oh, well, so literally just for the art, like you said, when you say you don't like attention, can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, I've just, there's a lot of people, especially in this forward-facing type of position, they think that and you'll look at interviews a little bit differently now. You can tell the people, some of them really like to hear their own self-talk, or if their question is way too long. And I've had a tendency to do that sometimes because you're just so excited and you want to get to the heart of something, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get there with a question. But when someone takes too long to ask a question, it's like, okay, is this about you or is this about the person you're interviewing? And I always want my viewers to know, and the people that I'm interviewing to know, it's not about me. I just happen to be there with a microphone and asking the questions. It is about the people that I'm talking to, and it's about the stories that I'm telling. So if you catch me at a wedding and there's a camera there, I'll be on the other side of the room. I don't want to be on that camera. And unless the bride or groom or family member asks me to say something, that's just not my gimmick.
Oh, and fair enough. Like, it's not your wedding.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So, but even outside of that and going back, like, where were you born and raised? And like, what was life like for Stacy Paetz when she was growing up?
Oh, goodness. I was born and raised in a very small Indiana town called Goshen, Indiana. Actually, that's where I was born. I was raised in an even smaller town in Indiana called Jamestown. Population 750 in the town that I grew up in.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's a small town. Yeah,
it's
that's a
so
small
small.
town.
It's
Yeah.
so small. My high school was kindergarten, so age 5. No, that's a lie. That was June. That was grade school. My high school was grade 7 through 12. So that was 12 years old through 18 years old. So it was that small that we had all the kids and from 3 different towns in one school.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Wow.
graduated with 118 students. Um, Life for me was challenging. I I was bullied a lot. I was bullied a lot in school, and I never understood it. And I would talk to my mom about it, and she would just tell me, "Honey, you're nice to everybody, and people are jealous. They're just jealous." And I never resonated with that because there's nothing to be jealous of. I'm me, you're you. Let's do this. You know, life is tough for everybody. We all have our challenges. Why can't we just be loving and kind to each other? So I never understood it. And therefore, throughout my life and throughout my career, injustice is something that really fires me up. Like it takes a lot to get me bothered. That takes point 0.2 seconds. I will fight for justice. And it doesn't even have to be my own. And quite frankly, most times it wasn't my own because I would shy away from confrontation. I would turn the other cheek. I would, just let those people be mean. I didn't stick up for myself. Looking back on that now, I wish I would have used my voice more. But in those moments, in those times growing up, the safe move was just for me to keep it moving because I stood on my business. I stood on the truth. And the truth was they were bullying me. I did nothing wrong. It hurt like crazy, but I was not going to allow them to bring me down. I lived in a single parent home. My mom worked
Okay.
her tail off and she was the breadwinner. My dad was not present. And when he was, it was not an easy environment to be in.
What was
And
with your father and your mother? What were their heritage or their backgrounds,
mhm.
or were their bloodlines? Where did they come from?
Yes, my mom is the Cherokee Indian Polynesian side.
Oh,
And
okay.
yep,
What
yep.
Polynesian we talking?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
She never did the research and I need to dig deep into that as
Yeah.
well. I've
What
wanted
about
to do that.
the Cherokee side? Do you know much about that?
That's from my mother's side as well, and my great grandmother was full blooded Cherokee out of the southern part of the U.S., mostly Kentucky, and
Okay.
in that area of the U.S.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Native. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, the natives. Uh,
Yes.
but with your dad, you were saying no good. Was he a violent man?
Yes. Yes. And that was very hard. And that was something that really stuck with me in my life because I was always in fight or flight. I always felt like I had to protect myself. I was bullied
Hmm.
at school. I was afraid to be home because I could never do anything right. So that's where sports came in, and sports really changed and saved my life because I never stopped. I played 3 sports in high school. I would have played 4 if they let me, but they wouldn't let me. And I played all year round, anything I could do because I wasn't close to any of the girls that I played sports with because they'd all been playing together for since they were little. And I started playing sports late, with the exception of softball. I had played softball since I was 5 years old. But basketball and volleyball and track came later. And I was never close to any of the girls on my team, but they also never bullied me. So that was a win, right? Like I just, at least I had this little pocket of time, this little pocket of space to just be, whatever that looked like, to just be, to work hard, to run, to learn new plays and not be yelled at and not be mistreated. Just play, just be.
Mm. Little freedom, especially, but a freedom, especially in the life that you had at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good escape in a way.
Yeah, I needed
Mm.
it. My little heart needed it.
Mm.
Definitely.
So, what was your being you said 3 sport athlete? Like,
Hmm.
what was your favorite of all 3? If you had to pick one,
Oh, if I had to pick one, I mean, I'd have to
or rank
say
them,
rank
actually.
them. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I played softball the longest, and I had the most success in softball. I played left and second. I was player of the year for my school, which was a huge honor. I would have rather been player of the year than MVP any day. I love that. That was so cool because that was voted on by the district and by a lot of all the teams we played. And that pointed to my not just my work ethic, but my character when I played, and that meant a lot to me. Volleyball, I loved. I absolutely loved playing volleyball. There's just something just very beautiful about that sport, and I love jumping high. And I was a outside hitter, so I love just slamming the ball down and not having anybody be able to retrieve it. I loved track because I was really fast, and in I anchored the relay, and even if we were behind, I knew I could catch. And then basketball, I have a great jump shot, and I'm a really good defender. I will lock you down, and you will not get a shot off, but I'm a terrible ball handler. So I would have to say basketball. If I had to pick at least, that would be it, because I had no confidence with the ball in my hand unless I was shooting it or stealing it from stealing it from someone else.
So like a spot up shooter, like you just catch and shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just because of that, you put that last, and then what's next?
Yeah,
how does that?
Yeah, so it would go. I would have to say it would go volleyball, softball, track, basketball.
Okay, that's how it go. There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Here's the ranking. Did you didn't play any rugby? Because I know you talk about a bit of rugby nowadays.
I never played rugby. We didn't have a rugby team when I was growing up. I didn't even know rugby existed, and now it's pretty hot in my home state of Indiana, and that's really exciting.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
Yes, it's really growing. And IU, Indiana University, has a strong team. The USA captain, Bryce Campbell, went to Indiana University. Yeah. So there's a lot of history that's there and running through there. And I first started covering rugby. I had covered pretty much every sport in my career. And in 2018, this thing called Major League Rugby came to the U.S., and I had a producer that was a dear friend of mine at ESPN. She reached out to me and she just said, "Hey, I know you love hosting, but I would love to get you on the sideline of a rugby game if you're interested." And I live in Los Angeles now. And she said, it's just going to be one game. There's really no budget for it. If you can drive down to San Diego, that would be awesome. We get to work together again, expose yourself to a new sport, which she knew I loved, being challenged with new things. And it was supposed to be one-off. It was supposed to be one game. Just show up, do it, and that was it. Just show them what a pitchside reporter could add. I ended up finishing that season and the next season, and here we are 7 years in, and I'm also hosting the All Access show on Fox Sports. I love it. I love it so much. And for the grand final, I do the trophy presentation, the MVP presentation. It's awesome. I love it.
She loves rugby now.
I do. I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, the sport is exciting, but it's the culture that made me fall in love. That's what made me fall in love, was the culture.
Speak about the culture, and what parts of it made you fall in love.
It's unlike anything I've ever experienced before. As I said, I've covered pretty much every sport, the NFL, baseball. I was with the NBA for 7 seasons. And I've been to some weddings, athletes' weddings, and it's cool to see, players that play for a lot of different teams come together, and they're standing as the groomsmen for the groom. But it's just different, they're boys, but it's just different, right? I never would have dreamed that I would be even invited, especially as a journalist, but to be invited after a match to dinner and drinks with both teams. And then listen to both teams just give each other so much credit and praise, no matter who won, right? Somebody lost that day, and they're still talking good about the opponent that came through. That to me was shocking and beautiful, and I was hooked. I was instantly hooked. And I remember when I was invited to come up to have a meal and a drink with the teams, I'm like, thank you, but I can't go up there. I'm a journalist. They're like, "We don't care. You're part of us now." I almost cried.
You never been treated that way, in all the years of sportscasting.
Nope, not like that. I mean, I've of course gotten close to some of the players' wives and gone to birthday parties, baby showers, weddings, as I mentioned, Christmas parties. But this was just different.
That's different. That's not like after a game you come with us.
Yep.
And that's bred like from club rugby, since when you're kids you grow up and you watch your dad, you watch your uncle, you watch your maybe your mom play, and then go after the game. Everybody has a
Yeah.
feed, as we say, has a kai, has a big feast, and
So special.
drinks, and
So special. Yeah, it was eye-opening, life-changing. I was so grateful for the experience, and I'm so grateful that it's been continuing. I tell the league, I'm like, you're gonna have to lock me up before I leave. Like, you're gonna have to really kick me out.
Okay. Okay, I get it. Like, you're here to stay as long as they have you.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Especially to have
Yeah.
someone of your caliber,
Thank
to
you.
cover all different sports. Go back to 15 though. 15 years old. You said you were inspired to become a sportscaster. How does that happen?
Yes.
Do you remember the moment?
I absolutely do. I was watching SportsCenter, and at the time there were no women. It was Chris Berman on ESPN on SportsCenter, and I saw him, and I looked at my mom, and I said, "Mama, that's what I'm going to do." And she looked at me. She looked at the TV. She looked back at me. She's like, "Go for it." And from that moment on, I just knew. I knew that was my purpose, and that's what it is.
Can we just pause for a moment?
Yeah.
I think that is a beautiful thing. What your mum said, because like a lot of parents would just say, "What? Like, you think you can be on TV? That's stupid." You know what I mean? Like,
and I heard it from other adults. I heard it from other adults.
I bet you would have. But the fact that you had a mother that was like, "Let's go, girl," like, you know what I mean?
It was
like,
awesome.
That's what I believe that's what your children need. Like, if they have a dream, especially something like that. Hey, what if it doesn't pan out? Hey, at least but hey, believe in them. I think let them dream and believe in their dreams, and and do what you can to help them achieve their dreams. But it's up to them. And, I think that's so cool. Shout out to mom. What's mama's name? What's mom's name?
Mama is Mama Donna, and
Donna.
She is in heaven now. She went to heaven last February.
Big love, sister, big love.
Yes. It's one day we will all be together again, and I look forward to that day. She was my everything. She was my everything. But that was very special. Thank you so much. That was very special because, there was never even a talk of a plan B. Never. She never said, "Well, do you have anything to fall back on?" That never came out of her mouth. And she gave birth to me. She knew I was a fire sign, and she knew that I was determined, and she knew that I was going to just go after it and be determined. And she just let me do me and supported me the whole way. Never missed a game. She also fell in love with rugby immediately.
Wow.
Yep. She was at the final in 2022 here in LA, which was so great. She loved every minute of it. Her and my brother came. So that was really special to share that with her.
Yeah, man. Just the love to Mama Donna.
Yes.
And we need more Mama Donnas out there.
Yes.
Even, obviously nurturing all that stuff, but to have, that heart to be like, you get it. And I believe too, like, especially when you like delve into a lot of, successful people in whatever field, a lot of them say, plan B is the biggest enemy to plan A. So, you know what I mean? If you really, really believe in yourself and
absolutely
go get it, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I had school counselors and teachers try to discourage me from it.
Yep.
You're from Indiana. You're from a very small town, and by the way, you're a girl.
Oh
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So 15 years old, you watch this, you see this guy on TV, you tell your mom, Mama Donna, I'm gonna be one of those one day. What's the path towards that?
Goodness. My high school, while small, actually had a radio and TV program. And we would do like evening announcements and give scores of the football game and the basketball game, tell like other little news and maybe give the lunch menu. And so I joined that when I was they didn't let you join until you were in your second to the last year or the last year of school. And I remember all the boys, there were a couple other girls that were in there just because they thought it would be cute. But I was so like fired up and determined. And a couple of the boys, I'm like, I'm going to do sports. And they're like, yeah, no, you can do the lunch menu. And I said, I am not doing the lunch menu. I will eat you for lunch. I'm doing sports. So I just took it over and I'm like, I'm doing sports. And I just knew. And then from there, I went to Ball State University, which is also in Indiana, and they have a very strong telecommunications journalism department. And I went there and had to create my own path because they didn't have a sports option.
Let's go, Trailblazer.
Yes, they didn't have a sports option. They only had news options. And one of the professors there tried to discourage me as well. He's like, there's no female sportscasters anyway. You should just go do news. You've got a face for news, but you need to cut your hair. And I said, oh, there's so many things wrong with that sentence, sir. I'm going to be one of the first to be doing sports. And secondly, I am not cutting this hair. My grandmother would kick my tail if I cut my hair. So no, super no on both of those. And I've never had to cut my hair. That was a concern of mine for a while, because when you see, especially women on anchor desks and stuff, a lot of them then, when I first started, they all had short hair and very like managed and perfect and beautiful. And here I am, a wild woman, but I was not going to, just like I am in life, I'm not going to compromise the character of which I was raised and how I live for anything or anyone. I'm not going to do it. And if that keeps me from getting opportunities, then they weren't for me, because I'm not going to change who I am for anybody. I will evolve, I will grow, but I'm not going to be molded into something that doesn't align with my values or my heart.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and she still got the hair, baby.
I do. A lot of it.
But all those people that came your way, like, you know, they will just to test you with whether you really want to do this or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
just
I never
because
wavered.
it's your dream doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Yeah.
That's right. And it hasn't been. And I never wavered. And that's the cool thing too. And I attribute that to God too, because there is no way that I grew up in such a small town in Indiana and made it to, I was on ESPN at 19. And that was my
That's
first.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And this isn't today's TikTok world viral, like from
Nope.
your like mobile phone, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like that. This
Correct.
isn't just wow.
Yeah.
That is
correct.
crazy. How does that happen?
Man, well, I really ticked off the university because we do these things over here called internships. So essentially they want you, when you're in your last year at university, they want you to go with a company that is in the business that you're pursuing your degree in hopes that you'll get a job after you graduate. Well,
for free, eh? You work for free and like work
correct. Correct.
So you don't get paid a dime?
No.
From them?
No.
Oh,
and you hope to get experience because unfortunately, it depends on what you're doing. A lot of interns are treated like kids, like college kids. So go get my coffee, go pick up our lunch, go, distribute these memos. Very rarely do you get hands-on. So what I did, and you've learned this already and just talking to me today, before we started the call, I'm a go-getter and I don't like to waste time. So I didn't wait until my last year at university. I did it my second to last year at university. And normally if you do it your last year, they give you credit toward graduation. They weren't going to give it to me. I had to fight for credit. Yes, I had to fight for credit to graduate because they said I did it all wrong. But what I did was I put myself in front of the pack. Why am I going to wait another year? So essentially 2 years when I had an opportunity to do that internship right then and there. And that's what I did. And I did.
Who was that with? Well,
it was a small production company in downtown Indianapolis, but they did a lot of production work for all the major networks, ESPN, CBS, NBC, all the major networks, nothing local, all network.
How'd you get in there?
My uncle actually knew someone who worked there.
Shout out to uncle.
That's right. And then I had the opportunity. I went and interviewed. I mean, I had to prove to them, hey, I'm legitimate. I'm going to be a hard worker. I had to earn it. It wasn't just Nepo. I had to earn it. And was able to do that for the summer that I was off from school. And then I stayed on my senior year and came back and would work part-time and help them out on the weekends. And then as soon as I graduated, I started working for them part-time. And again, they would just farm me out. And I didn't do a lot of on-camera stuff immediately. I always made it known. I want to be a reporter. I want to be a host, but I also want to learn everything. I want to know what everybody does because that will make me stronger. as an announcer, as a host. So that's what I did. I know how to produce. I know how to direct. I know what camera guys go through. I don't know necessarily how to set up a camera, but I know what they go through and I know what they need, and I'll find shots for them just to make their life easier. So knowing as much about the business, it gave me also extra confidence.
There you go. She learned a lot in the game over there in that internship. You weren't like some of them that, so some people could get into internships and then they'd like just toss to the side, like they're just little errand boys or girls.
Exactly. Or they just don't want to work hard. You know, to them it's like, I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
So why do I want to work hard? But it didn't bother me. That was part of the sacrifice to get to where I wanted to be.
Yeah. So you think, so in your opinion, internships are a good thing? Like, you know,
I do. Yeah. Because it gives you an opportunity, especially if you can get your hands on stuff, you're in that world. You know, they can only teach you so much in classrooms, even if it's
100%.
Right. Even if it's a former, you know, CNN reporter, like they can only teach you so much, but being in that job. That's it. And it's the same as training versus game day. You can try to be at game speed during training, but there's nothing like game day. Right. It's the same kind of concept.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You could you could train all you want and then pull up on the day and you just ain't with it. You know what I mean? That's right. You could hit all the shots in training, or you know, kick all the goals and then stand there right in front of the post and miss.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly, because you don't have the same pressure. That you don't have that pressure in training. And I wanted to absorb everything I could, like learn what all the terminology meant. And if I'm in a room with producers and directors and we're watching this show together or editing this show that we all just worked on, and I'm hearing them talk about, we should have done X, Y, or Z, or, it would have been better to have this shot set up. So now all that stuff's in my brain. So going forward in my career, now I can see things differently and I can help make a show better, not just by, we call it in the business a talking head. I'm not just a talking head. I know the ins and outs of how a show should look.
Yeah. Well, I think it's Miyamoto Musashi. Know the way broadly and you will see it in all things.
Love that.
Yeah, that's cool that you got that experience and one that you obviously were sharp enough to be like, I gotta go now. Like I got this now. I can't be, you know, next year I might not have this. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't believe they were trying to take it. Like they're so like they're just trying to be like systemy, like what? Just trying to you did it too early, like, but I did it.
Exactly. I still did the work just because I didn't follow your guidelines, and I didn't do anything wrong or illegal. I just did it differently. You know, I just did it differently.
Yes, and then from there, what's the progression from that to get to?
Still made it very known that I wanted to be on camera as a reporter, as a host. But my very first thing that I did was I went to the Olympics in Atlanta, and
96.
Yep, exactly, nice. And I just did. I was a production assistant, so basically I helped gather notes. I was never on camera. I helped gather notes. I helped look at some of the best clips. Like, hey, we should show this. We should do this. So I wasn't on camera at all.
Oh, so but were you like did you get to see many of the athletes? Were you around them? And
I wasn't, unfortunately. I was fully in the background, and where they had it was actually a pretty cool setup though. They had me with all the international reporters and hosts.
Okay.
So I was able to just again absorb, watch how they handled themselves, what worked, what didn't work, you know, that kind of thing. And let me back up just a little bit. When I did do my internship when I was 19, I worked with a producer specifically on an auto race. And it was actually a go-kart race.
Okay.
And he was so incredible. He's like, hey, why don't you find a story, within this go-kart race, find an athlete, find a story. If you write and tell the story and do all the interviews and put everything together, if it's good enough, I'll put you on camera and you'll be on the show. And I was so excited, and I did it. I did all of that. So when I was 19, he put me on national TV that was on ESPN. And I was on camera for 5 seconds, but daggone it, I was on camera and my voice was heard. But he gave me that opportunity. And I'm eternally grateful. And we're still friends to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how 19 was the age that it actually started, because it legitimately actually started. Right after the Olympics, I put my name in the hat to travel with the NFL, and they needed what essentially is called a mini board operator. So I would sit in a TV truck. This is for all for all the NFL games on ESPN. And whenever you would see the score come up, flags, down in yards, that was all me. I was the one typing it all in, and they would put it up on the screen. Yep, I did that.
You've done it all, in the
did.
game. You've done it all in this. Oh, damn!
I did. True. Yeah, I did. That was really fun. And then from there, again, always making it known that I wanted to be a host. Yes.
Now you're on Mind the Mic podcast. Let's go.
That's all right. So then there was a show on ESPN called Scholastic Sports America. So we would find the best athletes in the country and do stories on them, and it would air on ESPN, and it was a 30-minute show. And we would have stories from all over the country. And then whatever the main story was, the host would travel to that city and interview that athlete and do all what's called on cameras around that city at special places. So I was the last ever host of that show. And that was, to me, the biggest win to start my career, because it was such a huge opportunity. It was such a huge responsibility. I'm sure you know the name Diana Taurasi.
Yes.
She was one of the stories that I did. So I've known Diana since she was in her last year at high school, when she was a senior in high school. I went to California.
Now was she getting buckets then?
Oh, she was incredible then. I'm telling you. She was incredible then. I had her do this thing where I had the camera set up and I had my producer on the side, and I asked her to just throw him a chest pass. He couldn't catch it. He couldn't handle it. Because I just wanted that.
In high school. She was there in the last year of high school.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
And you said he.
Yep. So we and I've got a lot of stories like that. Like it's incredible. She's definitely, of course, one of my favorite memories from doing that show, just to see what she's done, in her career for the game of basketball, for women in the game of basketball. Just got another gold medal at the recent Olympics in Paris. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and obviously there's like young Caitlin Clark. Everybody knows.
Oh yeah.
These days, but these are the before the Caitlin Clarks. There's these
right.
ladies.
That's exactly right. And Caitlin Clark plays in my home state, in Indiana.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you a Pacers fan or?
Well, that's a funny question. After the ESPN gig with that show, I did college football for ESPN. And then after college football, I left ESPN and went to Fox Sports to cover the Pacers for 7 seasons.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I hosted their pregame, halftime, postgame show, and I was sideline reporter. So I was the only one in the NBA doing all of those roles every single game for 7 seasons. And I was the youngest person and the only female doing all those roles. Yeah.
Like when are we talking? Like Malice in the Palace days, or?
That was my very first road game.
Really? Oh, damn.
My very first road game.
Where were you? The Palace.
I'm glad you're sitting down. 45.9 seconds on the clock. Yes. I am maybe 5 feet, because I'm going to interview Ron Artest. We are beating Detroit in their house. And they had a record number of sellouts. They were reigning NBA champions, and we're beating them in their house. We would have won the title that year, hands down, no questions asked. We would have won that year had the Malice had not happened. Wow. So I was 5 feet from Ron, and Ron and Ben, because I was going to grab him for an interview, and everything went nuts. 45.9 seconds on the clock. Yeah.
So if I go back and watch them clips, I can see you somewhere.
I was under the basket. I mean, I was under the basket.
I'm sure seeing it.
Yeah.
See it.
I might have been just far enough back where I was out of frame. I never looked for myself, and I don't know if you can see me in any of the shots, but I was right. I'm sure right
because there's many angles.
Yeah, I was right there. That was insane. Insane.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
I know.
So obviously we can carry on with that, but are you a Pacers fan or?
You know what's funny is I for so long I've had to be neutral. Yep.
Yeah.
So I've got favorite players and favorite coaches throughout every league and every team. But I mean, of course, when I worked for them, I wanted them to win all the time, of course, because winning feels good and winning makes everyone's job easier, right? And I was working as the team report. I traveled with the team everywhere, so I was the team reporter, the team host. But to me, I was still a journalist, and I had to I would tell as many stories about the Pacers and their opponents.
Also, you would be on the plane with them?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Wow.
Yeah, it was very special.
Must have seen some fun stuff on the plane.
I did. Yes, I did. Some things I'd like to forget. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What's that like? As just being on the plane as
First of all, I miss it. I miss it so much because it was a charter flight in a private hangar. We always went through security, but not security that you would go through at a normal airport. And once you got on a plane, you had plenty of space. I always had my own seat. And the way they had it separated, at the front of the plane were your players, the middle of the plane were your coaching staff, and in the back of the plane was all of us media types. So the producer, director, myself, play-by-play, color commentator, and anyone else that might be on the trip, like PR, we'd be back there. So it was just easy. It was so great too, because during the winter months, they would start our cars for us and clean off the snow. That was so nice to come home, because we would come home so late on back-to-back games. That was really such a blessing to not have to deal with that. And my favorite part, there was food all the time, everywhere on the plane. Yeah. That was my favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was for you,
Mhm.
when it came to the NBA anyway, who was your, I don't know, I don't want to say favorite, but maybe let's say favorite,
Yeah.
or your most beloved player that you.
Man. That I can only.
Or is it really hard?
Picking one is hard.
Okay, give me a Mount Rushmore then.
Okay. I'll tell you from the Malice at the Palace team, hands down, Ron Artest, Steven Jackson. Those two are my brothers, and I love them with my whole heart. And Ron I still can't call him Meta. He's always going to be Ron to me. And his son, who I've known since he was born, is Ron. I can't call him anything else. But those two men, especially Ron, is very misunderstood. He's like a pit bull. People look at him and they might fear him, but he is so loyal, and he really is a gentle soul. When he was in that position, and when Steven Jackson was in that position during the Malice of the Palace, this was unprecedented. This was scary. This was fight or flight, and these guys were scared for their lives. Let's just call it what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was scared.
Oh yeah, they're in Detroit. This is
yeah, and people were coming out of nowhere and taking swings, and Jack and Ron, and I was so proud of Ron. I want to share this too with you. When he laid on that scores table, that was his way of diffusing the situation. He because he walked away from Ben. Ben was in his face. Ben wanted something to pop off, because that was Ben's mentality at the time. and they were getting beat at home as
and they're the former champs.
Exactly right. And
Again.
tempers were flared. So Ron did the right thing when he laid on that scores table. That was his way of saying, and he even put his hands behind his head, right? That was his way of, I'm not getting into this. I'm not doing this. Also because that's what people expected him to do, right? So he did the right thing. And then when that beer flew from the stands, that you're under attack then. You're under attack at that point.
What are you meant to do if people...
Exactly. And you're Maori. You get it. I mean, there is a point. Exactly right. Right. So, and then Jack, as a teammate, he's not going to sit. He's not going to go to the locker room. He's not going to sit on the sidelines. He's going up in the stands too, because that's what we do for our team. That's what we do for our brothers. People, man. Yep. And they're brothers. You don't have to like each other off the court, but they're brothers when they're on. You know, and I'm not saying that they didn't like each other, don't like each other now. I'm just saying,
I get what you're saying.
Right.
You're
in the battle. That's right. That's right. You're in the battle together. This was just a literal battle, but it was scary and crazy. And Ron, bless his heart, I was physically shaken. Right. I mean, I'm getting hit by beer bottles and things. No one's throwing them directly at me. They're just coming from everywhere. Right.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't leave this inside the arena because the tunnels were dangerous. Things were getting thrown and dumped in the tunnels, and I couldn't leave. So the safest place for me to be was like basically behind the stanchion of the basket that this just happened from. And I was keeping my composure as best I could, trying not to freak out, staying professional, trying to protect myself. No one ever approached me. No one ever tried to do anything to me, at least in terms of those Detroit fans, thankfully. But as soon as I got out to the bus, because we also shared buses, when I got out to the team buses, Ron saw that I was physically upset. I wasn't crying, but he could tell I was physically shaken. And he approached me and he's like, "Sis, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh man," I said, "that was scary." I said, I had a lot of things hit me. He goes, "Who hit you?" And I'm like, no one hit me. I'm okay. I said, just things were flying from everywhere. And he looked at me, he's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I said, "This is unprecedented. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all." I said, "I'm so proud of you. You tried to walk away and you did walk away." And then I'll never forget, he sat next to me on the plane for just a little while. And he asked me, he's like, "Do you think my career's over?" And I said, "Brother, I don't necessarily think your career's over, but your season might be." I said, "You need to be prepared for whatever that could look like." And that's all we ever talked about. We never talked about it again. That was our exchange in that moment. And like I said, I know for a fact, to the deepest core of my being, I would have an NBA championship ring today if that didn't happen.
Oh, you get one too? As a
Heck yeah! Heck yeah!
Oh, that's it.
I would have bought my own if I.
I'm coming to America. in the championship teams over there, want a amateur podcaster. Not joking.
Right? I would have bought my own if they didn't offer it to me. But yeah. Yep. Wow. And it's that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. And here's the other kicker. Here's Mama Donna, another Mama Donna story. She watched all my games, all of them. Wow. And she worked early in the mornings. Okay. And 45.9 seconds on the clock. And it was a later game. It was like an 8 o'clock tip. Right. So it was getting late. She was tired. Well, I left my cell phone on the bus because that was also before Twitter and Instagram, and I didn't need my phone. I don't want to be distracted. I don't need all that stuff. So I left my phone on the bus. No big deal. Well, all I could think about was, oh my gosh, Mom's freaking out. Mom, I've got to let her know that I'm okay. I've got to let her know that I'm safe. I know she's freaking out. I get back to the bus. I don't have any missed calls from her. I don't have any texts from her. I'm like, this chick went to bed. She went to sleep. But I was so glad she did, because otherwise she would have been a nervous wreck. She would have been a nervous wreck. So I called her and she picked up the phone, obviously groggy. And I'm like, "Mama, I'm sorry to wake you up." I said, "I just want to let you know that I'm okay. in case you check your phone and anyone's reached out to you, I just want you to know that I'm safe. And she goes, okay, honey, what happened? I'm like, just turn on the TV, just pick a station. And that's how she found out. Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Crazy. And I'll tell you that Netflix special that came out about the brawl, the Malice at the Palace, I've still never watched it. It's too triggering for me. I don't.
Enough.
Yeah.
Understandable.
That was traumatic. That was very, very traumatic. So I still haven't watched it.
Did they ever reach out to you to talk about it?
Nope, they did not. They did not, which I was kind of surprised. I had one reporter, I take that back. I had one reporter from Sports Illustrated reach out to me right after it happened. And I just didn't feel led to be part of the story. You know, I didn't, yes, I could have given my vantage point of it, but there were several people that could have given that same vantage point. You know, I'm thankful I wasn't hurt. And I hate that everything went down the way it did. I think Reggie also retired after that season because he just felt that was his chance, and that's the way the league was going. I don't know that for sure. That's just speculation. But he had to make that decision. He was suspended for a few games, which I'm not sure he should have been. But then he ended up breaking his hand in the same season. Yeah. So it was just it was a litany of problems that year. It was such a bummer. We played for the second half of the season, we played with 6 players total that was it. We had 6 players. We had 1 rotation, and they were mostly bench players. It was tough. It was really tough.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really tough.
But then does the NBA not allow you to have more? Well, I'm confused.
It's not like it's not like rugby. It's not like
you can't bring in a lone player or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't think we did. I think we were.
Oh, maybe allowed... it's changed now, but back then, maybe it was different.
Right. Back then, I mean, we did have
you play those games.
We did have G League teams, but I don't. The rules must have been different because it's definitely not like rugby where you can take a player on loan or bring an international over. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. And then as a host and a reporter, to keep the fans engaged and to keep the fans excited and to continue to find the light in the darkness was a huge challenge. But that was also something that I'm good at. You know, I'm good at finding the silver lining. I'm good at finding the good in the tough, right? Because adversity is what introduces us to our true character. And in that part of adversity, it was important that I just let the fans know, hey, stay with this team, man. They stayed together. I don't have to agree. None of us have to agree with how anything went down, but we need to stay together as a community, as a team. And that was very important to me. It's all a blur. I couldn't tell you anything I said at any time because it was all a blur, but I know I did my best and I spoke from the heart.
I think that's an important thing I needed to hear today because on this podcast, obviously, we interview people. I interview a lot of people, but I also do a show where we watch our favorite rugby league team every week, and they've lost out on their chance to make the finals, to make playoffs, and it's hard pulling up when they just can't make the playoffs no more. But obviously, like I would watch it, but to do it and have to stream it,
right?
Right. I'm like. Yeah,
right. That is the hard part. And you are also, I'm a little bit desensitized because I have to be neutral, right? I'm not not as invested as you are in your team because I couldn't be. But.
Yeah, I ain't neutral.
Yeah,
I'm being told I should be like because I interview like players from other teams. But like I don't give a damn. Like I just tell them.
You're a fan. You're a true fan, and you get to be a true. Yep, you get to be that.
Yeah, I ain't no sportscaster. I'm just like winging this. I'm just winging it. You know, I just got a dream to be the biggest podcaster in the world, and I'm just
let's do it.
Trying to do it every day and connect with people and then connect with more people and tell their stories and
let's do it.
And that's all. I'm just giving it a go, giving it my best.
I think you're doing great. I think you're doing great.
Yeah, so I'm just grateful, but I just. Yeah, I really needed to hear that to see, like, even though you said it's a blur, like, you still pulled up because, like, that was your job.
Yep.
That was your,
That's right.
Bro,
That's right. That's right.
And you're made for this. And probably part of another test, just like them say those guys saying you should do news, you should cut your hair. It's another test of like of the character and building there, sharpening those tools. Like, okay, well, this is going to be hard to, like you said, get the fans up for this game.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's so many games. How many games left in the season was there at that stage?
Oh my God, it was early. It was like September, so the season had just started.
Oh.
Or it was maybe it was November. I'm telling you, it was I'm so traumatized. Maybe it was November because usually regular season starts in October. So regular season starts in October. It was November, bro.
Oh damn!
It was one of our first games of the It was the whole season. It was the whole daggone season. It's not like we had this great run and we secured a playoff spot and we could pull it off in the playoffs and hope for the best, because we eventually got Jack and Jermaine and Jamal. We eventually got those guys back. I mean, Ron was done for the year. We eventually got those guys back, but by that time, it was all uphill, right? All uphill.
Damn. What's your biggest takeaway from your whole experience as a sportscaster, but in the NBA specifically? If you think back now.
Yeah, in the NBA specifically, I didn't have, until my last year with the Pacers, year 7, I was the only female. I was the youngest person. I wanted so much to do a great job. I wanted so much to be respected. I wanted so much to be a powerful voice for positive and make the fans continue to fall in love with this team and get to know the players. I was so afraid to have fun. I was so afraid to be myself in the first 6 years. Because I was afraid if anybody saw me smiling too much, if anybody saw me laughing too much, if anybody saw me having fun, I wasn't taking my job seriously, or I was just trying to be cute or get attention, anything like that. I was just so scared of that. And then in my last year with the Pacers, something just clicked. Something turned in me. And I realized this is the most exciting opportunity. You love this work. You're in this position for a reason. Be you. Have fun. Allow yourself to enjoy this. And I felt like it was my best year of my career. I bet it really genuinely felt like I was showing people who I really was, and that I could really let my personality come out, because I had really stuffed myself back. I had really held back. I didn't want anyone to ever think I was not professional. But then I realized you can do both. You can have fun and you can be professional at the same time. Those things can coexist. And I genuinely felt like I did that in my last year. And it was a bummer that ended up being my last year, because my contract came to an end. And unfortunately, the director who hired me chose not to renew my contract. So that was a bummer. And again, I felt like it was my best work. But that's okay. You know, God had a different plan and put me on a different path. And I wouldn't have had rugby had that not happened. I would have absolutely stayed in Indiana. I would have never moved to LA. I would have stayed in Indiana. I would have retired with the Pacers. I wouldn't have wanted to leave. I loved that job. I loved the people I worked with. I loved traveling. I loved that opportunity. I loved having a few months off during the year. But God's like, you've been there, you've done that. You did what you were supposed to do. You made some mistakes and you learned. And now I'm going to take you somewhere else. And I had to trust that. It wasn't easy. I mean, just how I just made that sound right now, that was not my immediate thought. I was gutted that job was not renewed. And I still trusted God the whole time, but I was gutted. I had a lot of dark days. I cried a lot of tears because I didn't understand it. Like I said, I thought I had done my best work and I treated people well and I did the right thing and I showed up on time and I had good work ethic and I was, easy to work with. I'm not a diva, but all that aside, it was what's for you is for you. And what was next for me, I had to wait and see. And I'm so grateful that rugby came into that picture. I'm so grateful My life is exponentially broadened, and I've met so many incredible new friends and colleagues and allies. Unlike the NBA, where I've got brothers on different teams I can point out who I absolutely adore, and I love their wives and families, their moms. But I can literally look at rugby and say, I have so many brothers. I have so many brothers who would have my back. And that feels so good.
Yeah.
So good. And had the rug not been pulled out from under me, in my opinion, in that last year, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have had the growth. And that's worth it. I don't want to go back to how that felt at all.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful.
You needed that, though. You needed that. You needed to, have it all taken away to be for that reset, for that pivot.
That's it. Because if our foundation is shaking, a lot of times it's God shaking it. Because he's like, if you're not going to move, I'm going to move you, because this is not my best for you anymore. I've got more for you. And he had to shake my foundation. But then he also pieced it back together, stronger than it was before.
Yeah, stronger foundation. And that's the thing too. If it's shaking, well, it needs to crumble so you can build it again.
That's it.
And this time you build it stronger.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
Stronger, taller, wider, all the things. Yep.
All them things. Yes. That's it. So, before you ended up at rugby, what was the gap like between that and ending up in rugby, and what did you do in that period?
Yeah. It felt like forever, believe me. It felt like forever. When I moved out to LA, I've been in LA for 12 years. When I moved out to LA, I moved out here to be closer to my brother. He and I are very, very close. And I thought two things would happen. I thought I'm not going to have any problem getting work, because even on I expected to just go to a local station and say, here's all my national experience, and I come from the NBA. Right. I mean, I just thought, not that I'm the best at anything, but I have the credibility and I have the experience. I thought I could just kind of walk in and say, here I am. I didn't have an agent either. So,
so you need one of them in that game too.
A lot of times, most times. Yeah. So I thought that would be easy. And I thought, and I'm going to date. I'm going to start dating. I'm going to meet tons of awesome guys. Let me tell you what didn't happen. I didn't get a job at a local station, and I haven't dated a lot of guys. I haven't met anyone. And I mean, I've met a couple people, but no one that's obviously my person.
Any rugby brothers?
I would love that. That. And at this point, they'd have to be a coach or an owner or a GM, because all the boys are too young for me now. Or
retired.
That's right. Or retired. Yes. Yeah. And I would love that.
Retired All Black sounds alright.
I would love that. Yes. Yes. I would absolutely love that, because also too, we understand each other's background, the sports and the travel and all the things. I get that. And I think I love that. So if you want to play matchmaker, I'm open.
Hey, I got you, sister.
Thank you,
what's the age? What's the age bracket? What are we looking at?
I would say 45 to 55, but they can't
45 to 55.
Yeah, okay. But they can't. And see, that's the other thing too. They're mostly married. Most of these guys are married. So either they're too young or they're married. I know. So I'm kind of in a tough spot, brother. I'm kind of in a tough spot.
Look down the barrel though of that camera and give us your best pitch. Give me three reasons why you're a catch.
All of a sudden, it's turned into a dating show. Well,
I'm flexible. I'll go anyway.
I'm super low maintenance. If you give me 10 minutes, I can get ready. I'm super low maintenance.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Your stocks just went higher.
Yep. I like to keep it simple. You can take me to a ball or a brawl, clearly, and I will fit in and I will make it work. I'm just low maintenance, man, and I'm emotionally intelligent. I'm not going to make you guess how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. I'll let you know.
Oh, you're going to say it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll let
can
you
you tell
know.
our sisters out there too?
I will. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you can say anything. You can say anything lovingly. I can be so mad, but I can tell you I'm so mad without raising my voice, without causing drama. I do not like drama. The only drama I ever want to see is on a movie or in a game. I don't want to see. I don't want drama in my life. I will fight for my peace. I will fight for my joy. Other than that, I don't want drama. Other than sports and movies. So yeah, I'm just, what you see is what you get. I'm just simple, laid back, easygoing, not afraid to eat a lot of food. I love to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
So
go.
that's my
I reckon,
pitch.
your stocks were high already, but they've gone through the roof. They're gone, through to another galaxy, I reckon.
Winning.
Yeah, there you go. 45,
Winning.
55. Any rugby, preferably retired rugby players, or even great coaches out there that are single, of course. She doesn't want a menage a trois, maybe.
No.
So yeah, there you go, lads. I'll see what I can do for you, sister. I do have a lot of rugby players come on, so yeah, we'll see.
Love it.
What about rugby league? Do you know anything about rugby league? There's some good blokes in that game too.
I don't. I mean, of course, I'll hear names and I'll watch games, but I don't really. Yeah, I don't really know many of those guys. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's they're coming back to Vegas next year.
I know. I heard. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. What time does your guys' season start?
What I'm hearing is mid-February we'll start again. Yeah. So when is that happening? When will you be in Vegas?
March, first weekend of March, I think. Whatever that is.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So that'll be
going to the Warriors.
That'll be. What's that?
My team's going, the one that we watch on streaming.
Nice.
Yeah, we gotta go support our boys.
We've
never won a title yet, but it's been like 30 years, so we'll see. Keep going.
I love that. Well, you have to check the MLR schedule, and if there's a game in LA, you should make that trip too, and see why you're here.
No, I'm gonna try. And yeah, I'm not neutral. I'm a Seawolves fan. So.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Seattle's beautiful.
Up the Seawolves.
Yeah, Seattle is beautiful, and the Seawolves organization is awesome. I've got so many brothers on that team. I love Clarkie. Yeah, it's very, very special.
Yeah, I had a few of the boys on, and even Nick Greer, the mascot, Ricky.
I love that. Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Nick's my boy. Now Nick's keen to come to the game with us in Vegas too, and a few of the boys. Samu came on too, obviously. OG Samu, big Samu.
Love it.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I also speak to a few boys from other teams also. But yeah, I'm a fan, So if a team wants to, I don't know. I just for some reason I reached out to Samu, and then he put me on to other boys, and then I was like, you know what, up the Seawolves, and then, so yeah, once I pick my team, that's it. We locked in, So,
I love that. I love that so much.
Maybe we can make you a Warriors fan one day. New Zealand Warriors fan.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll just watch more games.
Yeah. Did you go to the All Blacks Fiji game?
No, I had it circled on my calendar from day one when it was first announced. And then my boss reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I need you to go to Houston for the Western Conference semis." And it was the next day. And I don't like traveling on a game day. It's too risky. So the All Blacks game didn't start until 7:30 at night, and I needed to be in Houston by the next day I needed to be on the pitch by 3, so it was too risky.
Yeah.
I was gutted though. Oh, I wanted to see them so bad, but I will get to see them, and it's on my living fully list to see them obviously play in their home stadium. I want to see them in New Zealand. I've not been to Australia or New Zealand yet.
Oh, well, when you come down, sister, give us a holler.
I absolutely will.
Give us a holler. We're going, see if we can find you that husband.
You're the best wingman ever.
I got you, sis. I got you. I know some people. See, we'll see what we can do. That's it. With rugby and the World Cup coming up there, not this one, but the next one. How exciting and how big do you think that is for the game over there?
Incredibly exciting. Huge for the game. I actually went to Nice and saw a couple matches in this last World Cup, so that was really, really special.
Did you watch the USA?
Nope, I didn't get to see USA. I saw Wales, England, Portugal, and
no All Blacks.
No All Blacks either, and I forget who the fourth team was, but it was awesome. It was so awesome being in that environment and hearing the entire crowd, the way they sing, like that's something else you don't really see in America.
Different.
It's so different.
Especially like especially around the UK and like Ireland. It's sort of like that whole Conor McGregor like fans.
Yes.
like just the people over there. I don't know why, but they're so loud. They're so loud. Like,
Yep.
Even a
It-
stadium that doesn't seem that big, you're like,
Mhm.
how is
It
it
was
this loud?
awesome. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. I got chills sitting in the stands and just knowing how invested everyone was with their team. It gave me so much joy, so much joy. But back to your question too. Yes, having the men's and women's World Cup in the U.S. is going to be huge. And there's so many things. Like we've got the Olympics here in L.A. in 2028.
Yes.
So it's like so many things, right, are happening.
What about the girls getting the bronze, baby?
Oh, massive
Where were you when
accomplishment.
that happened? Were you watching?
I was watching. Actually, I had to watch the replay because I believe I was traveling. But I did watch, and I may or may not have cried just a little bit.
Are you a watch the replay after you already know, girl, or are you a watch it?
Unfortunately, with all the things I knew, because I couldn't escape, people's celebratory, posts and pop-ups on news channels and sports channels. But just to watch it back, I mean, it's one thing that I knew that they got it, but then just to watch it back and to hear Alona, her interview at the end, and to hear her say, they're just passing through that jersey. What a beautiful sentiment. And I was just pumped, so excited. What a win.
It's like that's the All Blacks mentality always. Like they you leave the jersey better than when you got it. You know what I mean? And pass it on to the next. Like no matter who you are, whether you
which is something else I love about rugby. I love that about rugby, and the All Blacks with sweeping the sheds. Like all of those are cultural, to me, iconic parts of the rugby culture that are unmatched, and you're not going to find that anywhere else. And I love that they don't retire jerseys like they do. I mean, you have to respect the jersey, respect the number, respect the athlete who wore it before you. Whereas in the NBA, we retire everything. In the NFL, we retire everything. So even in college, we retire everything. Yeah.
I'm retired jersey retirements. I'm like, really?
I know. Even in college, even in high school, we retire jerseys. So I love that aspect of when you put on a certain jersey, there is honor to that. There's almost a code to that. And I love that so much.
Yeah. You know what? I think with rugby, I wouldn't mind if you had like you had names on the back of jerseys and they could pick their number if it was like club.
Yeah.
But when it comes to international, I think international, you leave that how it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the US right now, like I have to be real honest about this. In the US, it's important that I know that a lot of MLR players aren't used to having their names on their jerseys, but it's important for US fans to get to know the players, right? At least right now in the beginning. Because it is. And it's an American thing, right?
Yeah.
But it makes
and it's good for clubs. It'll make it'll sell, you sell more jerseys and stuff like that.
Yep.
But internationally, they sell themselves. Like All Blacks sell themselves.
Oh, agreed. I had a couple of friends in town just last week, and we were in Beverly Hills, and I saw a gentleman wearing an All Blacks hat, and I stopped him, and I'm like, I love the All Blacks. He goes, what do you know about the All Blacks? I'm like, I just love them. That's all I'm going to tell you. I love them. So I noticed had the feather right on the cap.
Yeah, the fern, the silver fern.
The fern, yes.
Yeah, when you talk about too the sweeping of the sheds and that, I don't know if this is true or not, but just thinking about it, right? Like the Polynesians, Maori, Pacifica people, we make up a lot of the game, like around the world. Like a lot of international teams have Polynesians or like Micronesian people, like Fijians or Samoan, Tongan, Maoris playing for different countries. I wonder if, because that's how we're brought up, you have to, like respect and then thing. I wonder if, like, how, because of the amount of us in the game throughout the world, like if that's the influence, if we've brought that influence in, because we grew up like that, like you know what I mean, like just cleaning up together, working together.
You have to. It can't come from anywhere else. It had to start that way. That's what I feel like. That was not an accident. That was That was intentional, and thank goodness it's carried forward, right?
Yeah, but like that's crazy though, because like when would you ever see, and not hating, but it is what it is, like say like the best basketball team in the world, like just celebrating and then cleaning it all up after. Like,
you don't and you won't. You don't and you won't. And sadly, I've heard horrible stories of teams from many major sports that they've trashed hotel rooms. They've done so many yucky things that shouldn't even be part of the scope of sport at all. And it's unfortunate because it does leave a black eye. And then people don't respect that team or that organization that made that mess, right? Whereas if someone like the All Blacks comes through and everything looks nicer than when they arrived, and that's intentional and special.
Yeah. Does a lot of that stuff get swept under the rug?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. You're not going to hear about that stuff in the news. You're not. Yeah. Even though so many people hear about it, know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to know about it.
But the All Blacks, even if it was swept under the rug, the players would get fucking, they'll be gone.
As they should.
You know what I mean?
As they should. That's the thing too. I think in so many sports, there's no consequences. And if there's no consequences, there's no change. And if there's no change, there's no growth. And I think that all of that is a very dangerous game to play when you don't. I don't care if I would love to own a team one day. I don't even care what sport. I would love to own I would love to own a team. And I would much rather have a locker room full of high character blokes than have a bunch of guys that put up a lot of points and made messes and had drama and caused problems, and I couldn't trust them after games or before games or at hotels. I would rather win fewer games with higher character people than win a championship with guys that aren't great people and aren't respected and aren't respectful. That's very important to me.
Yeah, that feels like it is. I can feel it. It's coming through. It's coming through. It's hitting me in the soul, sister.
Right, right. You can see. You can see me in the. You can see me in the sheds. You can see me in the locker room telling them I do not play.
There's mana. There's mana in what you say. I like it. NFL. You said did you end up sportscasting, like interviewing NFL players?
Oh yeah. Mostly Colts players in Indianapolis. Yep. I was there during the Peyton Manning days, Marvin Harrison, Jim Harbaugh.
What was he like? What were both of them like to deal with?
They've all been great. Peyton was great. I would always tease Peyton because he would wear like polo shirts and he'd have the collar up. And I'm like, dude, don't put the collar up. You look silly. But he was very easy to talk to, very thoughtful in his answers. I loved how simple he was. He's just a simple guy. Like, even though he made loads of money and had so many amazing career moments, he was just a simple guy. And I appreciate that about him a lot. I actually had the good fortune when I was doing college football, I covered a Mississippi State game. So I interviewed Eli, and then I interviewed Peyton with the Colts. And then one night at a Pacer game, Archie Manning showed up. So I've interviewed all three of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Very, very cool.
Okay.
That's a great voice. I love that little voice.
I love you, son. Sorry, it's Daddy Dakey here.
But, I love it. I love it.
As people used to it with Shubz, Shubz streams back in the days, and yeah, that's what it is, you know. Gotta have their kids to look after them. But what was I gonna say? With the Colts, were you actually working for them as you were the Pacers?
No. I was just a freelance reporter at that time, and it was when I was back at that Indianapolis production company. So
and they send you out.
Yep. So we would do a lot of live interviews and stuff like that from the Colts complex for ESPN, NBC, CBS, ABC, and I would do a lot of the interviews.
So what do you think made Peyton so great as a player?
He's so cerebral. He's so smart. Like, the way he sees the field, the way he knew his receivers so well and his back so well, and he had happy feet sometimes in the pocket, but he still was able to get off incredible throws and or handoffs when it mattered. He could read defenses. he audibled his tail off, but it worked. He just offered so much high value to the game because of the way he played the game. And he's so funny. I mean, that's something that, you know, I'm glad that he was able to show the world, you know, with his SNL Saturday Night Live skits and commercials and stuff. He's so funny, just genuinely witty. And that's just a really fun attribute. I'm sure he was a lot of fun in the locker rooms, but he was also very serious. You know, he wasn't a clown. He was gonna, yeah, oh yeah. He strove for perfection all the time, and made sure that other people around him, like he was the ship that raised the tides, right? The other ships, he would raise the tides, so all ships would be on the same level.
That's cool. To have player in your arsenal, they can make everyone better. That's what you.
Yep, exactly.
Every team and every sport would love any team sport anyway.
Absolutely, and especially at that position. I mean, if your quarterback is not a strong leader, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. That's a very special responsibility to have.
Peyton Manning. So Mount Rushmore, you forgot to give me that Mount Rushmore NBA. You gave me two. You gave me Ron Artest and Steven Jackson.
And Steven Jackson. Let me think from another team. Michael Redd. He played most of his career with Milwaukee. Finished in Phoenix. Won a gold medal with Kobe. Just a stellar human, a stand-up guy, quality guy, very, very smart. He was a shooting guard. We also wore the same number. He was number 22. I also was number 22. He's one of my best friends still to this day. I love his wife, his kids.
Get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he's great, and he's an entrepreneur now. Like he teaches NBA players how to invest their money. So he's just really high on that, high on education. Let's see, I owe you one more.
One more.
I'm gonna say Tracy McGrady.
Hey, Mac.
Tracy McGrady. We had a very, very special moment, he and I. I was working, it was right after the Pacers. I did some work for TNT and all the boys, Ernie Johnson and Shaq and Kenny, all those guys, Charles. It was when he was with the Rockets, and I did a sit-down interview with him. And I remember the TNT producer gave me a list of questions that the network wanted him to answer. That's pretty standard. Now, in everything I've ever done, aside from that, I come up with my own questions. I do all my own research, all the things. But in that particular case, the TNT producer had a list of questions the network specifically wanted me to ask Tracy. So I'm sitting across from him. I go through all the questions. After he answers the last question, I hear the producer say, "Okay, we're good." And I looked at Tracy, and I never looked back at my producer. I said, and this was really gutsy on my part because it could have gone really wrong really quick.
Definitely.
But I said, "Tracy," I said, "do you mind if I ask you one more question?" He's like, "No, absolutely not." And I said, and this was gut feeling, instinct, intuition. I said, "Tracy, describe what it's like to be a leader on a team and you're not getting everything that you're asking for." Because it was during a time where he didn't feel like he had any support. And I just felt in my gut, in my heart, in my spirit, he wanted to say more. And he never did, or never had the opportunity, or wasn't asked the right question, or he didn't feel safe. So I just said, "What's it like? What's it like for you to be a leader on this team?" And when I tell you, this man leaned forward, like he leaned into it, like he was ready to spill. And boy, did he ever. For the next 10 minutes, he went on a rampage. And Tracy McGrady doesn't get this, but Tracy McGrady gives this. But Tracy McGrady's asked to do this, but doesn't. Like, he went off. They didn't use any other question. They didn't use any other answer that he gave in that entire 30 minutes. That question is the one that they used. And it led everything. It was on SportsCenter. It was all over
I've seen it
TNT.
before too.
It was
All
all over the place. And I remember looking at my producer, and he was just like, "Oh my God." And I immediately heard him on the phone calling TNT, and he's like, oh my God, like, you're never going to believe what we got. I didn't get any credit for it because, again, I'm just a young girl. I didn't get any credit for it. They only played his answer. They didn't play my question. I was never put on camera. This was heartbreaking. But Tracy and I know. And everyone in that room knows.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, every
whoever
time
edited you out knows.
they know. Yep. Every time I saw Tracy after that, he went out of his way to come shake my hand because
props to him.
Right? Because I know how appreciative he was that I gave him the opportunity and the space to share what he needed to share because it was a load off of him. And it ended up working out very well for him after that. So I'm so grateful that I trusted my gut and that he received it well. And it was clear that he really appreciated the question. So he would be my other player. My Mount Rushmore.
You got some deep things happening in your career when it comes to this game. You deep in the game, sister.
That's what I hope for all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I hope for. I'll tell you another one in the rugby world. This one's also very, very special. I interviewed Adam Ashley Cooper after LA won the title.
That'd be great.
Yep. When he won the title in 2022. And there were rumors that he was going to retire. You know, he hadn't necessarily made it, he hadn't put it in writing yet. It hadn't been posted yet, right? So as I'm interviewing him, to me, again, I just trusted my gut. I trusted my intuition. And I thanked him for, giving so much to the sport because the sport gave so much to him. And I just phrased a couple of questions in a way that made him feel not like a number, not like a player, but made him feel like Adam Ashley Cooper. And he even said that to me later. He thanked me, thank you for asking me those questions. And he even told me, and this was one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten in my life. This is Adam Ashley Cooper. How many times has he been interviewed? How many amazing things has he done? I mean, he was a top 5. I think he was number 4 when I was in Nice. They were showing top tries of World Cup. He was number 4. So all the things that he's done in his life and his career. And he said to me later privately, he said, the way you interviewed me, no one's ever spoken to me that way before. He's like, thank you. Thank you for that. That was really special. And I when I came home, I told Mom, I'm like, that's one of the coolest, most important compliments I've ever gotten in my life, not just my career, but in my life, that I made this incredible athlete feel human and not just a number or a dollar sign, because I
love that.
Right? Because that's what
I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And you are.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful, sister. Well, do you remember what you asked exactly or no?
Man, you can find it on the Rugby Network. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember exactly. I was just so in the moment. But it's definitely all on the Rugby Network.
But
the replay.
It just, that really sits with you, like, you're like that moment with this.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Like I knew, obviously I did a little bit of, but I didn't want what I don't like to do if I don't really know the person, but I know that they got a story. I just like to learn the story.
Absolutely.
Like I enjoy it because then I can just I don't really come with too many like questions locked and loaded. Just
that's smart.
Tell me about you.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom, because if you knew too much about me, you wouldn't have follow-up questions the way you have with me just telling you a story. So that's wisdom. That's the right way to approach it. That's how you're going to get your best interviews.
I concur with that too. Like, because I like the guys like that I have had on, like, that have, like, especially because I had like Tamati Allison on, and he's part of the obviously former All Black, but he's also an assistant coach for the All Blacks at the moment, and proud Maori man, and just like there's been oppression everywhere in your nation, against the Cherokee people, but also even the imported brothers that came over and sisters. same with our people, Maori in our own land,
Yeah.
not allowed to speak out like only twin. Like I grew up going to schools where you could speak our language, but before, like my grandparents weren't allowed to speak it. They were beaten for speaking our language, Maori. Yeah,
Wow.
you know what I mean. A lot of people see the All Blacks play, and they see the New Zealand anthem being sung, and there's the Maori version, and then there's the English version. That only started happening like 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So like
I think I can relate to that because I think that's the main reason I don't have a lot of information about my history, the Polynesian and the Cherokee Indian side. I think there were things that my great-great-grandmother was afraid to share because the less we knew, the better.
Yes.
Which
just
is
like
tough
my
now.
grandparents, hey, they didn't teach, a lot of them didn't teach their children the language because they're afraid their kids will get bashed at school.
Exactly.
They get beaten, by the teachers and by all, but
Yep.
yeah, like,
Yep.
and but like so having this knowledge and then knowing he's a proud Maori man, obviously former All Black and stuff, but he holds a different position and he's a current coach in all the All Black setup, and I'm like, I don't know, that was one that I was sort of like, because I knew plenty about him, right? But yeah, that was one that was like, I don't know how that was gonna go. And I don't get nervous at all, sister. I don't get nervous at all. But I'll be honest. And like all my life, I've been confident. Like I'll talk to anybody. Like I went to 17 elementary schools. I think you should call them over there. I went to 17, so like I had a crazy life. Just lived all over the place. So I always had to make new friends. So I've never been shy ever. Actually, I lie. I've been shy. There's only one woman that's ever made me shy.
Your wife?
My baby mama, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
The only one in my whole life that's ever made me shy and like I couldn't talk to her.
I love that. Yeah, that is so sweet.
Yeah, so like it's her, and then that's what I mean. Like that's probably the only nerves that I ever had, and then but I couldn't talk to her, and then obviously it took years before we ended up having children and actually linking up. But I realized later that that's probably why. And I remember seeing her one time at a. Sorry, I know we're not here for me.
Please.
But I remember one time where we came to this party that she was at, and like I didn't come for her. It came for like the little bro to. There's some scuffles going on. We come to sort of clean it up. Me and a couple of the boys. We cleaned it all up, made sure everyone was all good. And she's like standing next to me for a long. I see her down the side of the house. She remembers that part. And I'm standing there for a long time, like next to her and like just talking to everybody else. But every time I'd see her, I'd talk to everybody, but I'd just go see her and go. I'd just be like that. I would never say a word to her.
And she probably thought you weren't interested. You didn't think she was pretty.
Well, she thought, the most. Let's not go there. The most pretty. But like I always thought in my head, like, what? Especially after that night, I was like, I went home and at the time, I had a partner at the time too, because I was just like, why can't I talk to this girl? I was like, what's your problem? And I stayed up all night looking at the sky. And this is someone, like I said, that's got the most confidence to talk to anybody.
I love that. That is so sweet. And in a woman's mind, she was probably like, why is he not talking to me? Does he not think I'm pretty? Does he not like me? Is he not interested? You know what I mean? Like that's what goes through our mind. But what a blessing to know that you were so into her that you were afraid to talk to her. Like, that's cute.
Yeah, that's
I love
the only
that.
time. But what I was saying is, like, I think I got a little bit nervous then when I went to interview Tamati Ellison because of that whole thing, the background of us being Maori and what we have to do to fight to get into those positions, you know what I mean, to where he is now. And obviously there's other Maori in there, Leon McDonald's in the coaching setup and others, but like Tamati wears being Maori on his body, like he lives and breathes. Obviously being Maori, all you have to do is have the blood, right? But you know what I mean, he lives it, speaks it, all that stuff. It was, I don't know, it was a real honor and privilege, and I was actually a little bit nervous there. I guess, but I said, like I said, I never had that experience besides with my baby mama before we ever talked. Because I didn't talk before we actually, and I'm talking like years, like before we ended up connecting and had obviously 3 beautiful children. But yeah,
I
shout out
love
to your
that.
mum.
Love that.
What's the plan? Give me visualization 10 years from now. What does life look like for Stacy Paetz?
10 years from now, I will definitely have my partner, and he's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And I'm going to help you if we
if you don't know him already, you will love him when you meet him. So will I. I will.
Well, hopefully.
I know, right? He's just okay. He's just okay. No, I definitely will. I will still be in the same profession. I will be doing other major projects at the same time, and I'll be available and happy to bring more incredible stories into homes that are global stories, not just in the U.S. but international, global stories, and share important things that make an impact on the world, and continue to just, as Mom wanted when she got sick. She made my brother and I. She made my brother. Yep, Mama Donna. And she would have watched this, by the way. I trust she's watching now, but she definitely would have watched this. She said, "Live your best life for me," and that's what I will continue to do. It has been my goal since I knew what it meant to make her proud, and I will continue to make her proud for the rest of my life. And I will be doing that 10 years from now, whatever that looks like. And I'm going to trust the journey, and I'm going to stay bold in my commitment. I just posted something on Instagram today. Ultimately, to paraphrase it, ultimately it's staying bold in your vision and not letting up on the vision, just being flexible with the plan, because sometimes things don't look the way we think they're going to look, right? Just like I thought I was going to retire with the NBA in my home city, and instead it looked a little bit different. But it's a good look, and I'm okay with it. I'm good with it.
I like that. Be what did you say exactly?
Yep.
Be strong in your vision?
Yep. Be strong or bold in your vision and flexible in your plan.
Yes. Because I've been getting into like daily affirmations of that. I want to write that one down.
Yeah.
I want to write that one down.
Yeah.
Put it in my.
I posted it, so it's there on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna screenshot that one. Put it because I'll be starting. Like I've never been a woo kind of guy, but I started. As I've been on this journey and talking to more people, I'm realizing that all this energy stuff and manifestation is real.
It's real.
It's real. So yeah,
absolutely, it's real. And I'm with you. I've never been like. I mean, I've had a couple friends give me crystals and tell me what they mean, and that's energy. That's part of the earth. I take it seriously. It's just all in your perception, right? It's all in how you take it in. It's just like when I read scripture, people can take it differently. It depends on where you are in your life. You could read the same Proverbs 3 times and it means something different every time. The words are the same, but the meaning just feels a little bit different based on where you are in your life at that time.
Yeah, you could even read something and it doesn't even, you're like,
yeah,
I don't know what that means. And then maybe 10 years later, you're like,
that's right.
No, I get it.
That's right. Then it resonates. Yeah, then it resonates later. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I just literally for doing this, doing a lot of self work and and talking to a lot of people that have been successful in all different fields, all kinds of fields. I'm like, and a lot of them, live that, like manifesting, just like since young. A lot of them too, even one family that we're gonna do like a whole week on this family. They're a rugby league family, but so 3 of the family members play professionally of the kids, and then one of the sisters is a CrossFit like world champion or whatever, but they're all from the same family, same mum and dad. And their dad when they were kids was how people talk about self-talk today, like well, this guy was doing this back in the 90s and the 80s when they were kids, right? Their dad, and they used to think he was a weirdo. They're like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now they know that. But not just that, like going for like hikes and stuff like that, and they think like, oh, my dad's just weird. My dad's quite weird. And now they realize like that stuff's trending on Instagram now.
Right.
Doing even cold plunges and stuff like that. Like he was doing Wim Hofing way back.
Yeah, he was ahead of the game.
Yeah,
Very much ahead of
literally.
the game. Yeah.
Well, and-
I'm kind of the same way. I was doing the work before people started calling it the work. You know, it's getting to the root causes of why do I react this way, or why does this make me feel this way? Why am I triggered by this or this? It's so important. And I love that you're doing that, because there's high value in self-awareness. There's high value in emotional intelligence. None of that is ever to be minimized, because it makes you a better dad. It makes you a better partner. I mean, you keep growing your heart and you keep growing your emotional intelligence, and you think your wife's in love with you now. I mean, imagine her loving you 10% more, 50% more. That's what you are going to manifest, you know, because she's going to see more of you, and she's going to hear more of you, and she's going to understand more of you, and vice versa. You know, it's very, very important. That's, I love that. I love the work, because it is.
Yeah, I just like honestly didn't realize how important it was, and like, you know, grew up like it was quite ugly, like a lot of stuff, you know, like a lot of, sadly, a lot of family members we come from, a lot of violence, a lot of, you know, the sexual abuse, all that kind of stuff, like, and you know, but it's like obviously growing up wanting to be the antithesis of that, trying to get away, you know, like say that the kids don't have to have that, but then there's still a lot of like traits that like have like they rear their ugly head, and then being like, oh, where does that come from? And like, oh, how do I get rid of that? Like,
That's
you
right.
know what I mean? And but where does that come from? If I can't remember who told me. I think it was someone that listens. They said to me, because they had heard me talk about a little bit about my own story, and about, they said, have you gone back to that little boy and like gone and like, it's okay to go back and tell him like that it's okay now, like, you know what I mean? I was like, what do you mean? And like, I can't remember who it was. Somebody wrote this in the comments or something, of some one of the reels or on one of the platforms. I can't remember. And I don't read them. I just like, oh, yeah, what, you know, because there's like 20 going up every day across 10 platforms. You know, we just put them up. And yeah, I didn't read them, but I did that one, and I was like, oh. And then I started looking into it, and I started just thinking about it, like, you know, where's places, and if I physically can't go to those places, just I guess go there in my mind. And
absolutely. I've had people, because I've done a couple of journeys. I did an MDMA journey with 2 shaman, and I've done an ayahuasca journey. It was a soft ayahuasca. I didn't throw up because I hate throwing up.
There's a soft ayahuasca?
Yeah, it's an ayahuasca, and then it's a psilocybin, so it's ayahuasca and mushroom together.
Yeah.
So it some people vomit on it. I did not, thankfully, but I went super deep, and it was so profound and so beautiful. And the shaman asked me, "What would you say to little Stacy? What would you say to little Stacy, who's sitting in the corner of her room, scared to death because her dad is threatening and banging on her door, who just got home from school after being bullied all day? What would you say to her?" And it was like, man. And I was trying to see her and visualize her in that corner crying with her head buried in her knees and her arms wrapped around her knees in a little ball. And I would just tell her, I got you. And you're going to get through this. You're going to be okay. You're not alone. You feel like that now, but you're not. You're going to get through this, and you're going to get stronger. And you're not going to have to live like this forever. And, you know, there's just so many profound moments and so many things that, you know, when we're triggered by something, when you do the work, when you continue to grow and evolve and healing is so crucial. You're still going to be triggered, but you're going to react and respond to those triggers differently. And that's the working. And that is so special, and so it's literally life-changing. And I agree. Yeah, and my brother went through the same thing. My brother
I've only started, and I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to continue to find those moments. My brother went through a sexual molestation when he was 5, and he spent a lot of years angry, as you can imagine, angry. And he was molested for a handful of years. And this is not a story that he wouldn't share with you if he was here. Okay. I'm definitely not disrespecting.
I'm sure you wouldn't be a snitch.
No. This is he's in the mental health space, and he shares his story very, very openly because he knows it saves lives. So I would never share this. with if he wasn't in that place. But he attributes also, doing the work and healing, and also his fiance who has loved him. She's so wonderful. I love her so much. She's the sister I've always wanted. But between her love for him and his ability to recognize he didn't want to live in anger anymore. So he did so much work on why he was triggered and why he got so angry. And it's because the anger was directly attached to his shame. He felt so much shame because he didn't protect himself. He was 5 when it started. How is he supposed to know? And it was a boy cousin that was part of it. And he thought this cousin loved him and it was normal because that's what the cousin made him believe. And it just that whole thing, right? And then he had that whole narrative of he was disgusting and he was a failure and he had so much shame around it. So his shame came out as anger. And now he can speak into that. And now he can say, I was angry because I was angry because I was so ashamed. I acted out because I was so ashamed. He got into drugs. He got into alcohol. Thank goodness he pulled himself up and out of all of that because he did the work, because he wasn't afraid to say, this is part of my journey and this is what happened. And I don't have to be that person. That was my past. And that's part of my story. That's not who the man I need to be or who I have to be. I don't have to stay in that space.
Yeah, I love that sister. Like, that whole thing really resonates with me. I want to tell you something. A year ago, over a year ago now, it was like May last year. I was gonna end my life. I was about to hang myself. And my son, you just seen on the camera that came on before, he woke up. He was teething, crying, and I thought to myself, "Wow, I'll go sort him out, put him back to sleep, comfort him, and then I'll finish the job," because I was, rope ready around the neck. And obviously broke down. There's a lot of stuff that I held in, that I had that I hadn't done, that I wasn't proud of myself, and all of these kinds and just even I I always try to fix everything on my own, like always tried to.
Me too.
And I when like I had people willing to help, that could have, like, it wasn't like a help that, like, I wasn't even help that, like, if they helped me, like I wouldn't have been better, and we couldn't help each other. It's just too stubborn, I think, to focus, like, used to trying to get out of problems myself. And I think a lot of that also stemmed from that being that kid, like, they had to, like, hide away or, like, hide my brother, you know what I mean, or go and take it so my brother didn't take it, you know what I mean, like, all of that kind of stuff. And like, whatever, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that, and when you talk about my baby mama, like, to be honest, like, she's held me down more than anyone in this whole world, like, and
she sees you, she hears you, she loves you.
Like, and we're not always the best, but like, and a lot of time I haven't been the best to her. Not like I don't hit her or anything like that,
right? Of course.
No. But it's the just that you talk about emotional intelligence. I've never had that. I've never had that. Just like, until like this year, I've started learning it. Since I got to the point where I was gonna end it all. That was actually the moment that I decided to do this podcast. I didn't start it then, but I had already had a dream of creating a podcast 5 years ago, and I was a streamer, all of this kind of stuff. But I wasn't happy with myself, with what was going on, and so I decided January this year I would launch the podcast, right? And it's obviously we put in some work. It's been a grind, and of course it's going to be. That's like you said, you got to put the work in, and like, just because okay. And then as I've started the journey, and like, it's been it's been a full-on year, that I'm not going to go into everything that's happened, but I will say it's like, it hasn't been ideal. It's not like, what I probably wanted it to be like. I've had to do a lot of it on my own, like, in my own head, but in my own head, figuring out all these problems so I can, make things better. Not just with baby mama, but with everybody that I've ever hurt in my life in whatever way, you know what I mean? Or, you know, and whether they accept those things like me, my changes and my growth, or my, you know, apology, that's up to them. But at least I, you know, can see it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
another thing I've started to do recently is write letters. I hate writing. Like I hate it.
Mm.
I don't
But
like
it's so
to,
therapeutic, right? Though.
like I'm telling you, like in the whatever has been 8 years or whatever, baby mama and I have been, you know, on and off, and had 3 beautiful children. And like she's like, you've only wrote, I think I've seen you write 2 lines in our relationship. I would get her to write things and I would just sign it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You know, like I spoke to my father and he said to me, he goes, because you know, Maori and like a lot of other cultures, we were oral. We didn't write things down. We spoke through waiata, through song, or through, you know, through corded, or through conversation. Like, you know, that's how, or parables, that's how things were passed down. And he remembers talking to old people and he'd hear certain prayers or incantations or songs that they would sing, and he'd say, can you write that one down for me? And they'd say, no, we don't do that. So he said, maybe, son, that's actually what you're feeling, is like maybe I'm learning about that, like ancient traumas, like or something like that. Because obviously the book was beaten into us, right? Was beaten into our people, you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's something there. Because literally, sister, to sit there to write like a whole page A4, it take me like an hour, 2 hours, like for one paper. Someone else do it in 5 minutes. Yeah, like,
and that's okay.
Starting to write it down.
I love that.
All the stuff that comes out, I'm like, oh damn! But all of these ones I'm writing to these people that I've heard, that I need to send it to them. You know what I mean? And again, it doesn't mean that they might not even read it, but at least I've sent it. You know what I mean? And
that's right. That's right.
And they might read it and say, "Fuck you." You know what I mean?
And that's okay. And that's okay too. And that's okay too, because what you do is you're doing it. You're not doing it just to feel better. You're doing it because you genuinely want them to know that you're sorry. And
yeah, 100%.
You can't control their reaction. You can't control their response. And I'll tell you something else, brother. When we change and grow, we start to shed the old self, and we start to shed our old bullshit. And that means some of the people that were in that shit with us aren't going to recognize that as a good thing. So you might find yourself, as you evolve and grow in a good way, they're not ready for that. So they will buck against it. They don't agree with it because they're not in the same place. They're not in the same place. So if they're not willing to change and grow the way you're growing and changing, they might just think you're stupid, or think it's silly, or think it's a waste of time. But you know in your heart, it's not. What you're doing for yourself is so good and so powerful. And I also want to thank you for sharing part of your story with me. Thank you for sharing about last May. And as your sister, I am so grateful that you are still here. This world needs you. And like it or not, you're stuck with me now. So if there's anything that you need in terms of, if you need to reach out to me and say, hey, can you just pray for me about this? Or give me a word for this. I love quotes. I love affirmations. So if you ever need anything,
I already just started on that stuff, but yeah, they are pretty cool.
I've got you. I've got you. And you're not in this. You're not in this thing alone. You're not in this thing alone.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. Just like this has been amazing, actually. Like you know, and don't get me wrong, everyone's journey is all relative and it's all beautiful, and then you know, just, you know, it's all an experience. But
and it's not a competition. It's not a competition. We all
I don't share this to be like, hey, your brother.
But some people do. Some people do, right? Some people,
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all love. Like in hearing what your brother said, like a lot of like, and that's probably like a lot of my stuff is just like from the past, obviously from upbringing and a lot of stuff like. But I've always tried to go away from it. But then there's obviously, because of what happens there, like a lot of stuff that you have to unlearn that though, right? That even though in my mind, like, because this is what my baby mama said to me, and she says, you know, I wish people would see you the way I see you, like, you know, when she said like a lot of people, because you know I've done some silly things, you know what I mean, like just, you know, fighting and all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean, just ego stuff, I guess, you know, dealing, drugs, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that like literally, that's how I grew up. You know what I mean? I was literally a product of my environment. But
Yep.
I understand now. I can't use that as an excuse anymore. I have to be a product of my decisions.
That's it.
And and that's like it's taken me a long time. And like I got like the drug dealing, that's been on a long time. But there's still other things outside of that I I still did, and I didn't, realize. Yeah, but the cool thing is that she said, like, I just wish people would see was because I know you're not a bad person, like, and this is like, a lady that's, that I've, obviously I'll be honest, I love her with all my heart, but like, I probably don't deserve to fucking, to have her ever. I probably don't, but and if like, if I fix myself and all of that, and then I don't end up with her, then that's my fault, but that's life. But at least I become a better person. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like been heaps of things. Even with your brother, and I don't know if he had this, but I had, like, when you said something about love and like how you attach that to love, like I always did, and I thought that like making them, get to the climax, all that stuff, love, like that was, I'll show you, you know what I mean? And then if I didn't do that, I wasn't doing my job. You know what I mean? Like, and that. But then also it just made me over like keen on that because, and then like not realizing that, they think like, oh, all you want me for is that. But really, like, I thought that's his love. You know what I mean? Because
he
got that as
absolutely,
children.
he absolutely experienced that. He actually has a tattoo on his chest, and I hate it. But it says lust or love because he never knew. He never knew how someone saw him. Like, do you love me? Do you really love me? Or is it just because of what I
can do something? That's right.
Yep.
And that's what I think, like, but yeah, shout out to your brother. Shout out to you. Anyway, my bad. This went all over the place.
No, it's great though. It went exactly where it was supposed to go.
If you could have one meal for the rest of your life, one actual meal, not a food, what would you choose?
One actual meal. I would say definitely my mom's mashed potatoes. She made the best mashed potatoes.
Okay.
My grandmother's greens. Oh, and my grandmother's chicken and noodles. Her chicken and dumplings is what she called them. They're really thick, rectangular noodles, and she did them all by hand. So chicken and dumplings from my grandmother, and her greens, and my mom's mashed potatoes. Yeah.
And what are we washing it down with?
Ooh, I love water. I love drinking water with lemon, natural lemon. But I also need a Coca-Cola Classic every now and then. I love a good Coca-Cola. And I need a strawberry shortcake to have for my sweets. Yeah, it's not too sweet and it's not like super fattening, but it's delicious. And it has to be a very special strawberry shortcake. And it's something that I make, and it's biscuits. It's not a cake. It's a biscuit with fresh strawberries and whipped cream and ice cream.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought of something before I get to the last couple of questions. On that whole journey that we've talked about, and the unlearning and the doing the work, as you called it. I like that.
Yeah.
Phrase.
Yeah.
Doing the work. My dad and I never had a relationship, which is another big thing, for me. We didn't really have a relationship. I knew who he was all my life. He was more of a phone dad. He lived in Perth, which is it's like LA to New York sort of thing. If you're like that's how the distance, I think, because I think the width of Australia is similar to the continental US. So that's the distance apart we were. Well, even further, because I was in New Zealand. So that would be to Sydney.
Wow.
So I was in New Zealand. So he was here, and I'll come over for holidays and stuff sometimes. But a lot of the time, he was a phone dad. But like, and then he always told me, like, I love you, son. I want you to be with me, and I'll go play football or rugby, and then like all the kids got their dads, unless they're like my cousins and their dads were in jail. But but you know what I mean. And like most of the boys had their dads on the sideline, and like I don't have mine. Like, so I had a lot of stuff that I held on towards my dad, right? And I only just let go of it this year, and I told him I'm sorry, like, for letting go. And I just Yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
Good
That
for you.
that
I'm
that
so
a big
proud
one.
of you. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
proud of you. That's huge.
That
That's
was great.
huge.
I didn't even
Because-
realize too. I mean, I knew that I like had this resentment, but I thought I let it go. Like I actually thought I had let it go, but
Yeah.
I realized one day when I like that I went over to his house and I was like, and then we had this conversation. We were in like 20, 30 minutes. Then I left, and then I said to him later, a couple of weeks later, I said, send him this apology, and then I was actually reading the apology out to my baby mama, telling her that she was obviously like on the phone, and she was like, "Oh, proud of you, I'm doing the work," and then at the same time, and I texted him a message like 3 days before. At the same time, I'm reading it out to her. At this time on the phone, he messages back his reply, and then I read the reply, and it's long. It's like, I won't get into it exactly, but to get to a point where he says, "Son, I was just a kid myself," because he was a teenager, and I've always known this. Him and my mum were teenagers. But you like one, you can't like, don't be sorry, because you couldn't have understood how, like, you couldn't possibly understand that, which I took years to understand myself and all this stuff. But I just broke down on the phone, and I was just like, wow. And baby mama and I, we haven't been too good, so she broke down too, and she's like, that's where that conversation or that statement of, I wish people seeing you like how I see you, like, because I know you have a beautiful heart.
You are no, don't you ever
Yeah.
apologize for that. Don't you ever apologize for that. You are so loved, and you are so admired, and you are now, and my brother will be the fathers that you didn't have.
Yeah, that's what I want to be.
And you are, brother. You're so loved, and you have a lot to be proud of. And the man that you're becoming, and the man that you know you can be, is here. He's here. And you're gonna
do this just I think, but I know what you mean. Like,
yeah,
like I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
you are
every day. Like, even when every day I like see something that I'm like, oh, what is that? And then I'm like, oh, like, we gotta fix it. You know what I mean? Instead of just like carry on. Like, could it just be like the raise of the voice, like in that way. Like, but even my mother. Actually, I want to share something about my mother. Because I just recently, she had the same things happen to her. Like, but like, obviously she's a woman, teenage little girl. For years things happened to her, and just recently she realized, I think she attacked people that she worked with. She works in the mining industry in Australia, and she went to see somebody, and then they said to her that I don't know what happened, but they pretty much linked her, because when I was a kid, she used to beat the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not really complaining about it. Like, it is what it is. And because I'm very stubborn, so I would just tell her, like, that was fuck all. Like, you got more shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she goes to me. She said that pretty much the scent of men, because of what happened to her at like when she gets on her time, because she's that like really makes her angry. And I was like, oh, she's been like, she's fights men like no sweat, my mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and she had only just realized this at like nearly, she now 50 next year. You know what I mean? She's 50 next year. She just realized like this, like, far, like, and if my mom can see that and then start to work on that, if 50 years old, of like a lady that's and like me and my mom haven't had a very good relationship either, like, fuck, I can work on my shit too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It inspires me to keep working on my stuff. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. And the number one step and the hardest step is to recognize it and take responsibility. I mean, you're already ahead of the game by admitting and taking responsibility and recognizing. And then you just get to chip away and find healing all the time. And remember, it doesn't happen overnight. And give yourself some grace and recognize that as you're chipping away, you're still going to be triggered, but you're going to start handling those triggers the same way, or a different way, a better way. When those same triggers come, you're not going to have the same reaction. You're not even going to have the energy to raise your voice, because that's not who you are anymore. Because you've done that work, and you've grown, and you've healed, and you've chipped away at that shit that's held you down for so long, and that pain and that disappointment and not having good relationships and the choices that you made that you're not proud of today. But you know what? You don't have to be proud of them today. You can be proud of the man you are today. Those choices you made, you know better, so you do better. Right? So now you know better, so you get to do better. Doesn't mean you're perfect. Doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. Doesn't mean you're not going to fuck it up from time to time, because you will, because you're human. And that's okay. You get to give yourself grace. But the best part is you're going to see yourself reacting and responding to the same triggers differently. And I can't wait till it hits you, because when it hit me the first time, when I reacted to a normal trigger very differently, I was like, whoa, that felt good. Because it was, again, the same trigger, different reaction, and that felt good.
I've had two that I felt like that, and I was like, I got plenty to work on, obviously. but yeah, I've had two, and I'm like, oh damn, like, you know.
Yep.
And then I was like, but like, I get what you're saying when you don't, when there's nothing in you that even went to go like blah 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 back or whatever it is, you know.
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly. If the old you would, like my dad would go for the jugular. That's what I would always say.
Me too.
Yep. Just mean and hateful. And if he could make you feel terrible, that made him feel good. And I've made
grown men cry with my words, like, you know what I mean, which is not fucking something to be proud of.
But I get it. Like, and ironically, my brother has too.
Fucking my mother and everyone like that. Yeah. Like all my life, you're fucking useless. You're fucking shit. You can't sing. You can't fucking do this. You know, you're fucking terrible. You're fucking, you know, all of that shit. You know,
my brother was the same way. In his anger, he was the same way, and he did take pride in it when he was at his worst.
Yeah, I did too at the time too.
Of course,
it's toxic, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. But now Matthew, like, he still has some triggers. He still gets angry, but his relationship to those triggers is so different. It's so different. I'm here to tell you, do not give up on the work. Keep doing it. Keep learning it. No, because you see it. Because you see it now, right? Now that you see it, it's like, it's just like training. When you see yourself developing muscles, when you see yourself getting stronger, faster, better, you can't stop. You don't want to stop. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. It's even more important than the physical.
Yeah, because this is my babies, you know what I mean? There's a family, there's a, you know what I mean? And again, just I could do all the work and lose the family. But if I gain the man, you know what I mean? At least, you know what I mean? Like, at least my kids have a better dad, you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, that's just,
and your
the world has a better human.
That's right. And your woman has a better man, and she sees it. If she saw it and felt it before, she's gonna feel it even more now, right?
I hope you're right. We'll see how it goes, eh? Hopefully.
I think I'm right. She sounds pretty wonderful.
Oh yeah, fucking. But like I said, I don't deserve. I fucking probably still don't. But I'm gonna do some work, and we'll see what happens. Right. Just see how blessed it is. If I'm blessed enough. I'm
so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Long journey to go. All right, so superpowers. In the realm of superpowers, if you could choose one of those, or maybe even create one, because you're a real creative lady.
I am.
What one would you choose and why?
I would want to be able to speak, read, write, understand every language on the planet. Every one of them.
Planet Mars?
Yep. Imagine how helpful I could be. Imagine how helpful I could be to be able to translate and get around any place in the world. To read, speak, understand every language in the world.
Wow. Yep. Wow. That's a different, I never heard that one before. I've heard like know everything in the world, but that's like a specific thing, like, you know, every read, and how you said read, speak, write.
Yep. All of it. Read, speak, write, understand, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
Right, last question for you, and then I'll let you run away from my ass, because I've been keeping you here for a long time.
It's been great. It's been worth it. It's time well spent. I can tell you that.
Any advice for any upcoming interviewers out there, sportscasters, even podcasters? They didn't exist when you were coming up, but same sort of game, similar. Yeah. Any advice for people like myself that are new in the game?
Yep. Do your research, but listen. You can have every bit of research and have, like, even had you learned every single thing about me, you knew my bio inside and out. Do your research. That's great. I mean, I love your approach, as I told you earlier. Learn as you go, but always be listening, because you never know, if you're too busy thinking about all the questions you have written down, you're going to miss something very important. You're going to miss a follow-up question. And that's very, very important, because what if somebody says something that's really deep, really intriguing, but you're so attached to all the questions you wrote down from all the research that you did, or any research that you did, you're going to miss something real valuable. You can always go back to the questions that you want to ask. I mean, you had questions loaded up for this tonight, but you also had follow-up questions based on things that I shared. You didn't have written down who's your Mount Rushmore of players.
No.
That was organic. So it's very, very important to have those organic moments. And also, I say do your research and know as much as you can, because it gives you more confidence. It gives me more confidence. You know, as the more I know, the better I feel. You know, I probably won't use a quarter of it, but at least I know it. And that's when I'm doing reporting and that kind of thing, and even interviewing. Like, I like to have a baseline of what I want to ask, but the biggest key is listen. Be an active listener, because you don't want to miss an opportunity to have a follow-up question. And it could be a question that the person you're speaking to has never been asked before, just like with me and Tracy McGrady, and it could break into something incredible.
Wow. Sister, I just want to say time is the most valuable commodity we have as human beings. The one thing we can never get back. We can always get back money, things, but time spent is time lost. So thank you for sharing 2 hours of your time plus with me and anybody that listens to this for years to come. I know this won't be the last time that we sit down. We're going to sit down in the flesh and with your new husband, and
yes,
you know, hopefully I'm fortunate enough to have baby mama, you know, she hasn't given up on my ass. And I've done the work, and we can have a feed and have a kite together.
I love
maybe
it.
even watch the All Blacks play.
I would love it so much. And thank you for your time. Thank you for wanting to get to know a little bit more about my journey and my story. And I love you, brother. Thanks for entering my life.
Hey, appreciate you, sis. And yeah, I definitely holler. And same goes to sister. If you ever need I'm always keen to have a listen. Like, you know, you just need just get something off your chest. I'm no good with advice, but I can at least listen, and I'll go right at making people laugh too. So
thank you. I'll take it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.